Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, for another very informative topic. The topic today is fraud and scams, my prevention strategy. Wow. There's lots of fraud, there's lots of scams, and we need a prevention strategy. We have a very important topic today. I will remind you that we do Facebook Live. This show is being aired from the radio, of course, on 1190 AM and 107.5 FM, La Onda 1190, but also through Facebook. If you do Facebook, please find us at AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Find our page, like our page, or follow the page, and then recommend the page. We are addressing very, very important topics. Again, the subject today, fraud and scams, my prevention strategy. And with us today is a special guest, Lucia Arteaga. Lucia Arteaga is with the Attorney General's office. Lucia, there hasn't been a time that I invite you. If you can grab the mic and speak very close to it, that you haven't said yes, provided that the schedule allows it. So thank you so much for always being willing to represent the Attorney General's office and provide information. You are the Hispanic coordinator for the Attorney General's
That's
office.
correct.
So thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. There's a lot of information we have to cover.
Right. I'm going to ask you to move the mic so that it's as direct to you
right in front of me
as possible.
Sure.
Yeah, because the mics are very sensitive and sometimes they might not capture the voice.
Of course.
First of all, tell us a little bit about the Attorney General. It seems like, in Spanish we say el fiscal general.
Or procurador.
El procurador de justicia, right? So I am glad that you are doing, outreach to Hispanics.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the Attorney General, the name and the scope of his jurisdiction service, and what is it that they basically do?
Okay. Well, we can go on and on about what he does, but I will explain to you two sections that I'm very familiar with. Obviously, my section, Community Outreach and Education, we offer free classes to anyone who requests them. One of the classes is on consumer scams. Other classes that we offer are things like internet safety, anti-bullying, human trafficking, suicide prevention and awareness, opioids. But then the other section that, I care about a lot as well is the consumer information complaints, because if anyone feels like they've been a victim of a fraud or scammed, they can file a complaint with our office.
Right. Now, there seems to be a hesitation from the community, I would say primarily with the Hispanic community, to contact the Attorney General. Is that still the case? Are we making some progress on that?
We are making progress. At least that's what I've noticed is when I first started there. I wouldn't get a lot of Spanish callers calling in, but I think with the outreach and our efforts, that has definitely changed a little bit. We are getting a lot more callers that are calling just in Spanish, just giving us their complaints and just having questions as well.
Has the Attorney General's office always had a Hispanic position there? Is this kind of new, or?
It is kind of new. Actually, I'm the first person in that role, and it happened about 3 years ago. So in community outreach, it has been the first program that has been developed just for the Hispanic community.
There is, picture the community that you obviously know what our community goes through. We're going to talk a lot about fraud and scams today in this show. Before we get there, so you and I know that our community is affected by fraud and scams.
Yeah.
So what when we think of the Attorney General, when are we supposed to contact the office? What sort of scenarios should trigger me as a community member to contact the Attorney General?
Absolutely. Well, aside from having a section on consumer scams, right? And when I'm talking about consumer scams, I'm not just talking about big companies or small businesses. It's also if maybe someone from the community, told you about some investment scheme or opportunity, call us, please. But aside from that, we also have a civil rights section. So if someone feels like their rights have been violated or they've been discriminated, they can always call our office as well.
And is it just by phone? I assume that people can walk into the office, to
Yeah.
the building. How about online? Is there a way to contact
Absolutely.
you online? How does that go?
Yeah. So if they just visit our website, which is azag.gov, they can file all sorts of complaints on there, just like the two that I've mentioned, for example.
And we haven't mentioned the name, so it's Mark Bernovich, right?
Mark Bernovich, he is
Yeah.
our state attorney general.
And you know what? He's been with the AARP doing teletown halls probably at least 3 times.
It's great.
And one of the things that amazed me about this particular man is that he is a first generation American.
He is.
You
He is.
look at him, you see him, you couldn't tell.
No, his parents both actually at first didn't know English when they came here.
His parents
Yeah.
did not know English.
That's right.
Do you
Yeah.
know the country he's from or his parents? I don't remember.
I'm not going to try to
but-
butcher it.
Yeah, but it's very, very, I guess, amazing that
Yeah.
that an immigrant
Yeah.
or a son of immigrants
Yeah.
would become the attorney general.
Exactly.
That
It's pretty
that
amazing
quite
and inspiring.
Quite an accomplishment too.
Absolutely. I agree.
And like I said, I'm getting ready for the teletown hall because I organized 2 teletown halls for AARP as part of my work a
Awesome.
year, and most likely we're gonna ask him if he can join us.
Awesome. That would
Yeah.
be very exciting.
Before we go on our first break, let me also say that you and I held a conversation earlier, some few days ago. I understand that you are working on a is it a Facebook page to basically offer information to the Latino community?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're correct. That's what I'm doing. And it's actually, we're preparing to launch it on the 28th of June. It's going to be just in Spanish, and it's going to be consumer related. So just tips on how to, have people protect their identity, prevent ways for them to prevent that from happening to them. Of course, we're also going to talk about some of the other topics like human trafficking
Right.
and other
Wait,
issues
human
related.
trafficking, is that a big item for the Attorney General?
It is. Yes.
Do we have a big problem on that in Arizona?
Unfortunately, we do.
Now,
Yes.
so do you know about it, but is it being reported?
It is.
Okay.
Again, that is something that people are becoming more aware of. It's not just our office that's been working on that issue, but there's so many other nonprofit organizations and state agencies that have been working, with that one goal to tackle human trafficking.
So is human trafficking, I understand that there's people trying to cross the border. That's one item.
That's different, yeah.
But this is different?
Yeah, so you're talking about smuggling. So what I'm talking about, we focus on sex trafficking and of underage minors, that are put into sex trafficking. Average age in Arizona is actually 14 years old.
Can we do a show just on that in the future?
Absolutely.
'Cause I think that's
For sure.
quite an important topic.
It
I believe.
definitely is.
We have about a minute and a half, and I would like to ask you just some personal questions.
Sure.
I understand you were born in California.
I was.
Are you first generation American?
I am. Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Are you
Very
first
proud.
generation university student?
I am. Yes.
Did you graduate from ASU?
I did.
How did your parents feel about you?
Very proud. They feel very proud of it. In fact, I have to mention, they were very proud when I also studied abroad. It's funny because,
Where did you study?
so the first time I studied abroad was in Ireland. I actually did it behind their backs because, the culture, they're
Right.
very upset.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what do you mean you're going somewhere?
Right.
But it's funny because coming back, I found out that they would tell all of their friends, like, oh, my daughter went to study abroad. So they were really proud of it. Yeah.
And you did not necessarily study this particular criminology, for lack of a better
Right.
term. You studied something else, but now you made your way into not criminal. Well, I don't know if it's.
I mean, I
criminology,
kind of did. I was a legal secretary before I came into community outreach.
But I feel like how many years with the Attorney Generals now?
Total 5 now, including my
5. So
internship.
are you feeling like at home now?
I am.
Do you feel like you want to pursue something in this realm?
Absolutely. I definitely want to be an advocate in the Hispanic community. And, this is one way of me doing it through the Attorney General's
Have you
office.
had enough cases where you interact with Hispanics to kind of give you that sense of satisfaction yet?
What do you mean?
In other words, complaints, that people
Yes.
come into your office so that you feel like, wow, we're here. and
Like we're
people-
making an impact.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely. Especially because I get to go to the Mexican consulate and talk to people, and they tell me their cases, and I tell them what to do. And when they leave with like weight off their shoulders, that's when I feel good about it, that I've helped, ease some of their worries.
Great. Stay with us. We're going to take a short break. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Fraud and scams, my prevention strategy is the topic. We're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty of fraud and scams. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Fraud and scams, my prevention strategy is the topic today. I'm your host, David Potter with AARP. I have been with AARP for 15 years, and I have the best job ever, and that is to communicate, to share information. I mean, it's such a gratifying job. I have to say that, I even got a phone call this morning. My phone number is all over the country, literally. Sometimes I've gotten calls from Mexico because I'm versed on Social Security, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act, fraud and basic finances, and then a kind of a picture when it comes to preparing for retirement. So most people find it very, very interesting in talking with me because I can kind of give them at least a guideline, a picture of, especially when it comes to healthcare, finances, and then preparing for retirement. So I got this call today. Anyway, so it's very gratifying to have this kind of job to offer
Absolutely.
information. I'm sure you identify with this.
I do.
sentiment.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's kind of start, after we've talked about the Attorney General, the function of his office, and your personal life. And I mean, you are a Latina success,
Thank you.
success story. And I usually say that the objectives of this platform, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection, is to educate, celebrate, and connect.
Absolutely.
If you listen to the jingle, you'll find it's educate, celebrate,
I love
and
it.
connect, because we do believe in education. In AARP, one of the AARP's bread and butter, if you will, is education.
Yeah.
And then this has to do with, this is a Latino outreach, so we love to highlight Latino accomplishments,
Yes.
Latino and Latinas and Latinx. I think is that how you pronounce it? Latinx?
Yeah, that's the new term.
That's the new term.
Absolutely, it is.
And it is our privilege and honor to bring folks that have been very successful in our community. So you are definitely one of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
And
Thank you.
now, do you have the name of the platform, or are you still working on it? Or
You know
the
what?
Facebook page?
We're in the last finishing stages for coming up with the name. Definitely, I've taken some of the suggestions that you gave me,
All right.
and I think one of them, I'll talk to you about it afterwards. But
Okay.
I think that's what we'll do, and I'll definitely let you know once I have it all settled. I'll let you know what it is.
I just want to say on the air that one that I suggested, it doesn't mean you're going to
Yeah.
take it, but anybody who is related to or familiar with El Chavo, it says, acúsalo con tu mamá, Kiko, remember that?
Yes.
So I suggested, acúsalo con el procurador, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So we'll
Absolutely.
see.
I
We'll
like
see
it.
how it ends up, but
Yeah.
congratulations. I'm glad
Thank
you're doing this,
you.
because a lot of times our community, they want to communicate with the Attorney General, but the language barrier sometimes.
Yes.
Well, this is I'm seeing my mic is kind of low. Are you able to control that? Hers is perfect, but mine is a little low. I don't know if do you have a different volume for different mics? Okay, perfect. Yeah, because hers is perfect. All right, let's talk a little bit, get into kind of the nitty gritty of fraud. Let's start with identity theft, right? Can you kind of tell us how identity theft happens? What are they? The con artists. That's what they call them.
That's what they are.
They artists.
Yeah.
They are artists, but they are counterfeit,
are.
right? A counterfeit artist. They are extremely smart. They are, I think I can say, extremely evil. Because they really, really want to hurt people still.
Yeah.
So how does it normally happen? What are they after?
Well, identity theft, it's such a broad word or words, right? There's different types of identity theft. The most common, I would say, is when they steal your driver's license, which eventually they can use it for to commit some sort of crime.
Okay.
They can steal your mail. And eventually they can also try to forward all of their mail to their own home address, right? There's
So what would they need to do that?
well, and here's the thing that I've heard this from people in the community,
Right.
that they just go into a postal post office.
Right.
They let them know, hey, I want to change my address, right? And sometimes the post office doesn't always ask for identification.
Wow.
So they just fill it out. They tell them this is my current address and this is where I want my information forwarded.
So they
Yes.
literally forward that somebody else's mail to them, and then they
Exactly.
can do all kinds of things.
Exactly.
Now that's one thing. Now, what are key identity items that they would love to get from people?
Social Security. I mean, honestly, even your first name, last name, date of birth is a big one. Home address, which sometimes that is public information, which is why we tell people, like, if you're going to throw away your junk mail, make sure you take away the address and your name from there.
So would you say, what is the one piece of information that I think is like the one you want to guard with your life?
Well,
I know that you mentioned the birth date,
Yeah.
the address, name,
Social Security.
but Social Security has to be.
Yes.
You know, usually tell people that, sometimes people say we are a number. In some sense, we are.
Yeah.
In a sense, we are. And if we were, the Social Security number is the unique number that identifies us with the
Exactly.
government, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. And it's scary because, we don't always think that our children might also become victims of identity theft. And we won't even know until they turn 18. But it's important for parents who are listening right now to know that their children can also become victims of identity theft. No one is checking their credit. And I believe it's at age 16 when you're actually able to get the report, just to make sure that they are safe.
Got it. Actually, I try to get the credit report for my child, my son.
Uh-huh.
He's 17, and for the Social Security, you know how you can create an account with Social Security to monitor your credits and your
Yes.
earnings. Well, you can until somebody turns 18.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But
So-
that's only to monitor, right?
That's for Social Security.
Okay,
That's for Social Security.
okay.
So let's kind of go back, because I believe that with credit these days, you are required to provide your Social Security number. So I usually tell people that it's impossible not to give your personal information. And I usually tell
Right.
people, if you think that your information is not out there, don't even think that it's out there.
It is.
So the bottom line is awareness and monitoring. Would you agree
Exactly.
with that?
Absolutely. And I would take advantage of just putting a freeze on your account, even if you haven't been a victim yet. Prevention is key, like you said. And, before you used to have to be able to pay to put a freeze on your account. But with a new bill that was passed, they shouldn't charge you. There is no fee. So I would put a freeze on your account. That way, no one is able to open any lines of credit.
Right.
And whenever you are ready to get a credit card or home loan or whatever it is, just call them and unfreeze it. And then again, when
Okay,
you're...
so let us go a little slower. So,
Sure.
So the Social Security to me is kind of like the most dangerous, or where it poses the most danger to the holder. So you're saying that to play it safe, to monitor, one way would be to get a credit report. Now, I understand that there are 3 companies, correct?
Yes.
And that they can give you a credit report per year. So if you stagger them, you can actually get a credit report every
4 months.
4 months from one company, then you wait 4 months and you get it from the other. So you're always
Exactly.
getting it. I know that I try to do that, and I have my files because I get a PDF and it's stored in my computer. I am doing it, believe it or not.
Perfect.
But it doesn't mean that I do it as when I should.
Right,
So now, if I'm a
exactly, yeah.
person who is on top of these things, I dare to believe that not everybody's going to do that. So
Right.
So so you can do it online. Can you do it over the phone?
Yes, you can. Yeah, and usually that's what you'll find on their website. You'll find their phone. But you can, like you said, do it online, their website as well.
I believe this is extremely critical for you out there who are listening to this show. Your Social Security number, it is so critical.
It is.
and most likely it's out there. Somebody, the chances of you being scammed through your Social Security are high.
Yeah.
So the one thing we can do definitely is to monitor, and we are letting you know that the way to monitor is to get your credit reports at least once every 4 months.
Yes.
You can go to, I think it's the website. Do you remember off the top of your mind? Let me try to relieve. It's not free. Remember, there's one that says free that you should not go there.
That's
annual credit report. I believe it is. Annual credit report is it org or
I think it's .com.
Yeah, I'll get it. I have it in here. We'll give it to you, and then if you're listening on our second segment. But again, please, if we're gonna say something critical today, this is one of them. Social Security number, it's out there. Don't even doubt it. Now it's a matter of monitoring. You can call one of the 3 companies that are, let me see, it's Equifax, it's TransUnion, and it's Experian. Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, one of those 3 companies. I have the information right here, but if I give it to the public, most likely it's going to be difficult for them to remember.
Right.
So most likely you're going to want to go to Google, and then Google credit, you're going to, credit reports or Equifax or TransUnion Experience, and you'll get the numbers there. So if you don't want to do it online, you can call. I feel, Lucia, that this is a critical piece of information we're giving today.
It is. But again, monitoring is one way to do it. But also, if you just want to prevent another extra layer of protection is just putting a freeze on your account.
Okay, so what does that mean? So putting a freeze on your account, you basically go to the companies too and do that?
Yes, you call them, and then you let them know that you just want to put a freeze on your account. So that means that even yourself, when you want to open a credit card, or whatever line of credit, no one will let you.
So the company will tell you, I cannot check your credit because there's a freeze. Go in and freeze it and come back.
Exactly. So
that is awesome.
But here's the thing. You have control over that. If once you're ready to get a car and you need that line of credit, right? Just call them again. Tell them to unfreeze it because of what you're in the process of doing, and they'll do that. And then give them another call when you're ready, when you're done with that transaction, and just have them put the freeze on again.
Now, there's a lot of people who might not be into all this technology, and I believe that having a shredder is a must these days, right?
Yes, a cross-cut shredder, though.
Right, the one that makes the documents into confetti kind of thing. It's interesting. Today, as I was working, because I work from home, I saw my wife going through the mail, and it was a big stack that needed to be shredded, and it's amazing. What I do normally, I take my scissors and I cut the information that I consider kind of personal,
of course,
or is personal, and then the rest I can put it in the bin for shredder for the trash. But then if something is super sensitive, then I shred it myself.
Yeah.
So again, everybody has to feel comfortable in the level of comfortableness that you'll have. But the bottom line is, do not allow your personal information to go through to the trash cans.
Exactly.
Right?
And, we understand, too, that there are people who can't always, cut the catalogs because it's hard for them, especially if they are seniors. But another thing that they may be able to do is getting a roller ID marker. I've seen them sell it for as little as $5. And instead of crossing everything out, because pens are usually not a good idea to do that, cross out your information. If you use that roller ID marker, it has a lot of different letters just at random, and you won't be able to see what was underneath it. But another thing to do as well is just wait to see who's going to be having a shred-a-thon. The shred-a-thons that are hosted from our office they're always free. Always free, and people can bring, boxes and just dump them there, and they can see their information getting shredded.
Perfect. Stay with us. We're going to take another short break. You're listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Fraud and scams, my prevention strategies. The topic today. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. I'm your host, David Parra, and today with me is Lucia Arteaga from the Attorney General's office. This is one of those subjects that you never end. I mean, this is never ending, and it's interesting. I was thinking about how to name this show. I believe we've used this name before, but guess what? I don't care. It's still very, very
relevant,
a proper and relevant name. I wanted to say something like the fraud and scams go on or are not stopping. I mean, because it is, and you always are getting. I mean, I'm getting kind of like 2 calls a day towards the evening of this robocalls and stuff.
That's nothing.
Oh, that's nothing?
2, you're lucky.
More?
Yes, I do.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, let's continue to, we are going on the third segment here. So let me just read a few of the tips that we have. Have a locking mailbox.
Yes.
Have a locking mailbox. Don't leave personal information in the car. Shred everything. Check and monitor credit reports. We just covered that. Okay, this one, I don't know if I should mention. Let me mention it now because I think it is so critical.
Okay.
Establish online access to your accounts and monitor often. Let's tackle this one. I believe it's so critical. For you, the so-called millennials and those generations of younger, it comes kind of natural, but not for us that are the baby boomers and other generations. But, online access, I am 53 years old. Of course, I love technology.
Yeah.
And I do my credit card, my bank account, I pay my bills, everything online. But why is it that much better to do it than to still continue to do the print, the hard copy?
Well, because when people actually want to print, sometimes, well, first off, not everyone has a printer. I like doing the online banking because I can do it anywhere from my phone.
Okay.
Now, I know I said anywhere, but if you are doing some sort of transaction where money is involved or where you're just logging into your bank, make sure that you are not using a public Wi-Fi. So even if you have to get off the public Wi-Fi and just use your own data from your phone, that would be safer.
Okay.
And sometimes I understand that, like baby boomers or people they're kind of reluctant to do that because they say, oh, it's on the phone, it's technology, it's not as safe. But that's not always necessarily true. If you're monitoring your account, you're making sure that every transaction that's been on there that you've authorized.
And Lucia, if you are doing hard copy, you get a statement once a month.
Oh,
you think about that.
See,
once a month.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if something happened in between, you will not catch it.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're doing it online, you can literally go to your account and monitor once or twice a day, 3 times a week, however many times you want.
And then what happens to those printouts, right? You're going to have to wait for a shred-a-thon or you're going to have to do more work and make sure that gets shredded.
Right.
So that's why I'm a big advocate for, just checking on your phone, on your computer every single day or at least every other day just to make sure you catch it right away.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about the so-called Wi-Fi because, if you have limited data, if you have a limited data plan, you're always looking for free Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, that used to be me a while ago.
Right.
Yes.
And Anna, if you have unlimited, well, you probably can easily turn off your Wi-Fi, device or function. So you just said that when you log into a free Wi-Fi on hotels, Starbucks, or what have you, you should not be doing what type of transactions?
Buying things online. Going onto your bank account, right? Online. I would just stay away from that.
And then also the issue of, but if you're just going to navigate, say, Facebook, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But here's the thing that sometimes there are people, a lot of people love to work at coffee shops, right?
Right.
But what they don't always realize is that there are people there just waiting for someone to do some sort of personal transaction, enter personal information, and they're just waiting there because they want access to that. They stay in those coffee shops just waiting for someone to become a victim.
And I just read today, because I read a little bit of what AARP, the scams that we are addressing lately, and there is a concept that when you leave your home, it is better to turn off your wireless function, because if you don't, then wherever you go, the phone will search, and wherever you go there, if there's a free one, you might. So it's better to maybe turn it off and then turn it on. Whenever you want to check or connect to a public Wi-Fi.
That is true. Some people do have it on their phones turned on wherever there's free Wi-Fi to just automatically connect. Yeah, I would stay away from that, turn it off, and just make sure that you're always in a secured network.
Now, I realize that it takes a lot of knowledge from the hacker. Let's just call them the hacker. They have to know. They have to be very sophisticated and knowledgeable about hacking. However, one thing that I believe we need to be mindful is that if I'm a hacker, I can literally set up a Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right. I can literally set it up for free.
Absolutely.
To basically phish people to come to connect to my free Wi-Fi to then perform my hacking.
Absolutely. And that's why we always tell people, make sure you know what network you're on. Make sure that if you're making any sort of, personal transaction, business transaction, just stay away from that unknown Wi-Fi, right? Even if it's free.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about passwords, because I believe this is a big item. Anytime now these days, I literally have 2 spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Literally have
with all
2
your passwords.
One personal, one for my company.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 maybe passwords and stuff. And we tend to use
the same one.
Kind of like the same ones. And then the easy ones, you pick, dates that are key to you.
Exactly.
So I stop using passwords in ways that I want to remember. So I just completely got off that frame of mind. I said, you know what? I'm going to create passwords that I'm not going to remember.
Right.
Therefore, I have to write them down or develop a system so that I don't have to remember them. So then that'll push me to use characters. Like I use dollar signs, the pound sign, capital letters, small letters, all kinds of things to just basically do very difficult passwords.
Yeah.
How about that on using sophisticated passwords?
Oh, well, let me tell you a little bit, something personal about me. My husband's actually a network engineer, so he's big on the security, on technology. His passwords are way over 22 characters. So that just tells you, how important it is to do that.
Right.
Now, he doesn't use an Excel sheet because he also uses different passwords for everything. But there are actually, and this is what's important about informing yourself what's out there, right? Learning a little bit about technology, researching what they're called like key manager apps. So it's a protected application where you're able to store all of your passwords on there. So you don't always have to have an Excel sheet, even though that's a really good idea, right? And that way you don't have to remember exactly, what your password is. You could just go into your app, get that password, and then use it for whatever you're trying to log in onto.
And I wanted to save it in the cloud. But I'm still working at it.
Yeah.
Because, I just traveled to California. Guess what I did? I said, I cannot afford for someone to, get into my home and steal my old computer, because we have an old computer.
Yes.
And then take my password. So I basically save them on a little flash drive
Yeah.
and delete it from my computer. But I have to be mindful of all those kinds of things.
You do.
And perhaps what I need to do is maybe go into a little bit of a higher tech, maybe get an app that stores my passwords. Or I heard that there's even an app that literally gives you the password itself, a random a password,
like an authenticator. Yeah, it changes every few seconds.
So I guess the bottom line is don't be complacent. Always be looking. If you are out there listening to our show today or will watch this video, don't be complacent. Always look for better ways to protect yourself when it comes to passwords. But the bottom line, pick passwords that are very, very complicated, sophisticated with characters, and stop trying to remember your password. Write them down.
And don't put the password on a sticky note next to your computer. I
that's-
see it so many times, all the
Wow.
time. I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to a little bit more. Let's see. So, using internet to monitor your bank accounts is recommended.
Absolutely.
Also, your credit card. Make sure you review your accounts, your bank accounts online. If not, you're gonna have to depend on the monthly statement, and that's
Yeah.
not that good.
It's not.
All right, let us move on a little bit more to identity theft online. Okay, so we already talked about monitoring online banking, which is, I think, and then the changing of passwords. Let me just give you, I have some statistics here that it says within the past 3 months, only 50% have changed their passwords. About 3 to 6 months ago, only 18%. About 6 months to 2 years ago, 15%. More than 2 years ago, 2%. So it seems like we're making progress. It seems
Good.
like more people are changing their passwords, which is very good.
That's great.
Let us just mention just briefly, these days, I find that very few people use computers, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Most
it's
people
phones.
use their smartphones. But if you do use a computer, make sure that you are protected. An
Absolutely.
antivirus protection. Make sure that it's up to date, that it's working. If not, you're gonna get a lot of viruses.
And still be careful for those, pop-ups.
Right.
Be careful.
And that's what I wanted to touch next, Lucia. How about this phishing stuff? There's this word, technical word that is PH, not
Yes.
F, but PH, phishing. What is that?
Well, that is when you get an email and it looks like a legitimate email from a business. And it is probably a business that you're very familiar with and possibly even a customer. And it will tell you, oh, we're just double checking on your account. Do you mind clicking on this link just to confirm your information? And then it takes you to a different site where you're supposed to put in your personal information. Again, it's supposedly your bank wanting to confirm that it's you, that everything's updated, but it's not from them. If you actually check the email, it most likely is not from that bank or that business, whoever you thought it was. But if they had their logo, but there are red flags there. Check to make sure punctuation, grammar. A lot of the times it's like a robot or computer that generated that email, so you're able to see some of the mistakes that they made.
So are you saying that this con artists design a website that looks exactly like your
Yes.
Bank of America and your Cox, the IRS, the Social Security, and they basically are saying, please confirm this information, this and that. Is that sophisticated?
Very sophisticated.
Wow.
I mean, I get these emails constantly, and it's supposedly from Apple. I am an Apple user, right? But it's funny because they supposedly send me receipts. They send me receipts that I purchased something, but the attachments, it's actually from Microsoft. And they're competitors. Apple wouldn't really do that.
Right.
So that's one of the red flags that I noticed in that email.
Can this happen also via text messaging? Because I realize a lot of people are not necessarily using emails that as much. How
Yeah.
about text messaging?
Absolutely. We see it a
So
lot.
you get a link there as well?
Yes, we do. You
Amazing,
do. I mean, I've
amazing.
seen it through WhatsApp as well. It happens there. Yeah.
Right. Let's take our last break. Stay with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The topic today, fraud and scams, my prevention strategy. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. If you are listening by radio, I am asking you for a favor, and that is to find our page, follow our page, and recommend our page that is on Facebook, AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We are getting close to 1,800 followers, but we've been there for some time, so I'm really asking you. Ideally, we would like to have 3,000, 3 to 5. This is where we just began the third year. So even though those numbers are good, we really hope to increase them because this information is so valuable. And I mean, I don't have to ask you. I know you agree. We address very, very important topics on our show, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We only have a few more minutes, Lucia, and we've covered a lot of ground. So let's continue. You know, there's always this concept about credit cards versus debit cards. I personally have 2 debit cards and 1 credit card, but I never use my debits. It's like it's like a no for me.
Good.
I always use my credit. But let us just talk a little bit about why credit cards are more recommended.
So say someone steals your debit card, right? You can file a report through your credit card company, but in order to get your money back, it's going to take a lot longer than you want it to.
Right.
So if it was a credit card, you don't really have to worry about it because it's not your money in the first place, right? So their insurance is a lot better when there has been some sort of fraud with a credit card. And of course, if you have to pay bills and it's coming from your debit card, you're not going to be able to pay bills. But if it was through a credit card, then that can just be canceled, right? And it's not really going to be money out of your pocket.
Right. You know, it's interesting because somebody got into our home once and they stole all kinds of stuff. And at one point, my wife's credit card got compromised. And so it wasn't as simple. Typically, it's simple.
Yeah.
You just call them and it says, all right, no problem. And then they don't charge you. But in this particular case, they had purchased all kinds of stuff. They have ordered services from Cox, bought books.
Wow.
And then even bought books and sent them to jail. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So in that instance, we had to file a report with the Federal Trade Commission. We had to call the police and file a report and all that. Then once we proved that we were the right, the persons who own those numbers, et cetera, which is a process, then they delete those charges from your account. But it can get pretty, I guess, time consuming.
It is,
and it's pretty crazy because you have to deal with so many things. Typically, it is pretty straightforward, I think, with credit cards.
It is because again, I want to say they're more worried because it's their money. So that's why it's just easier to pay with credit.
Right.
Especially if you're paying at the gas pump, right? You rather them take money from a company, right? And it's not necessarily out of your own wallet because it's just going to take a lot longer.
Right.
And who knows, you're going to see that money in a month, if that. At least that's what I've heard from the public.
And I believe that not only, but if you delay in reporting it, you may even get there may be some fees involved with debit.
Well, and it looks suspicious too that it took forever for you to report it.
Let's talk about another concept that is, to me, frankly, when I go and load gas, I'm always mindful of it. It's called skimming.
Yes.
Skimming. What is that?
Yeah. So there are RFID readers, right, where scammers will put them next to gas. I mean, any skimmer where you're going to be paying with your card. These skimmers are getting smaller and smaller. So a skimmer is a device. If you put your credit card through it or your debit card, that skimmer is going to obtain all of that information. And if it's a scammer, they're getting that information. And sometimes it happens quickly. Just personal story. I was putting gas in my car, and within a few seconds, I got a text from my phone, and it was my credit card company saying there's been charges in so-and-so state. So it happens that quickly. They sell that information.
Actually experienced that?
I have firsthand experienced it. Yes, absolutely.
Once I traveled to California and I was loading gas, and I also got a text message from a company that says, are you purchasing gas right now in this address in California?
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That is great. That they're watching out.
Your company's watching out for you. So that's awesome. So here again, it's about monitoring monitoring. It's about being aware. When you go and load gas, make sure that you kind of look around. I'm very
Yes.
suspicious. I look around to see if I spot a camera or something.
Or if someone's just been waiting at the
Right,
pump for a
right.
while, because maybe the skimmer is not like where you're putting your card in, but maybe they have it on them. And if you're within a few feet of them, they could still obtain that information. I mean, technology these days is amazing, right?
Right,
And not
right.
everyone's using it for a positive outcome. But also something that I always check is the skimmer that you're going to put your card in, just kind of move it around, make sure it's stable.
Right, right, right.
And all these gas stations have been doing such a good job with their efforts on, combating that type of identity theft, that there are stickers. So if you see the sticker that says void, do not use it.
Got it.
Do not use it.
Got
So
it.
you want to watch out for those words on there.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you, but I actually try to pull something from where I stick my. Yes, because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Your mind gets all
Paranoid? I mean,
definitely.
We
yeah.
want people to be like that. Make sure
Right.
your guard's always up,
Right,
because
right.
this can happen to anyone at any place.
Right. Let's. We only have maybe 5 more minutes. A lot of people get calls that from companies that are formal government, and that kind of gives them credibility. How about the IRS? How about the Social Security?
Jury duty.
Do they call people?
No, the government will not call you. And if you think that it's really them, just wait for them to leave a voicemail, and never call back using the number that they gave you. Do your research, get that legitimate number, and you initiate the call and ask them if it was really them who gave you a call. But jury duty, IRS, they're not going to call you. They're not going to call you, especially if they are threatening you that, you didn't file taxes, or that you have a warrant against your a warrant against your arrest. Like, do not believe
in
that.
In Arizona, with the heat, there's also this fake companies that call you that they're going to cancel your or shut off your electricity if you don't pay a bill right now.
And people have actually done it. They've actually
Wow.
broke the lines of the electricity, and they really think it's the company. But I've had people tell me in the public that they called the different number, actually the electricity provider, right? And they said, no, we did not do that.
Right.
So always double guess, everyone. Ask a lot of questions. And if you did not initiate the call, just make sure your guard is up, and always, question everything they tell you.
Let me read a few tips, if I may,
Yeah.
on avoiding phishing. Don't click on the link if it looks suspicious. Don't open files from strangers. If a message sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes.
A strange message from a friend, be wary.
Exactly.
Thoroughly read messages. And there's another thing that many people might not know, but when you type in an address online, you're going to see HTTP.
Yes.
Sometimes the S is added, and that stands for secure. So any
Yes.
website that has that S, you can count that it's going to be
It's
more
secured.
secure.
Yeah, they have a certificate of security. Sometimes there's a padlock on there. Sometimes the whole bar will turn green. It's just extra layers of protection.
So basically, they don't. If you're typing in personal information, it's not visible to anybody. Correct? There's a technical
that's
term
right.
to that. It skips my mind. Yeah, where it doesn't where you don't see the actual what you're actually typing, but asterisks, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yes.
Don't access sensitive information on over public Wi-Fi. This is so critical.
Exactly.
Like checking your bank account or doing transfers. Do not do it on public Wi-Fi. Verify the true public Wi-Fi network name before logging on. Secure your home Wi-Fi. It's interesting because when you go to your through your phone to log into your network at home, it used to be that you see like 10 other networks and
Yeah.
none of them were secure.
Right.
Now, you
They're all
hardly
secured.
find one that is unsecured.
And that's great.
That means we're learning.
Exactly.
That is very, very
Exactly.
good. Let me see. I think I have other tips here. Monitor your accounts online.
Yes.
Please. This is very important. Secure your passwords. Protect your computer. Control your surfing. Watch for fake connections. Beware of phishing scams. We only have a couple more minutes. Have you heard from at the Attorney General's office anything related to identity theft related to medical?
Medical, yeah. Especially with the new Medicare cards that were coming out, scammers were calling seniors. They were telling them, "Oh, we're gonna have a new card being issued to you, and it's gonna cost so much." Those should be free.
Right.
There's a lot with medical fraud. I think we should probably do another show on it, right? But if people feel that they've been a victim, or even if they just suspect it, call our office. It's
Right.
602-542-2123.
So again, the Medicare card, I think it's in its last stage of delivering the new ones.
Yeah, without the
hope-
social security number, right? That's great.
Yeah, because the old Medicare card used to have the social security number, and that lent itself to a lot of fraud and scams.
Yeah.
So now they changed that, and I think they're kind of going through by states.
Yes.
So hopefully they will complete that distribution of new cards quickly. I think we're running out of time. Let me just mention another item, and that should do it, maybe a minute. Investment fraud.
Yeah.
I believe that that happens a lot in our community.
Especially because those types of scams, schemes, whatever you want to call them, it happens in close-knit communities,
Right.
In minority communities, because it's coming from a friend that you trust,
Right.
Sometimes even maybe possibly a pastor. And it doesn't necessarily always mean that they know they're scamming you,
Right.
but probably they're being scammed as well. So be very careful, always ask questions, and always do your own research.
Right. One thing that I believe is like a golden rule is do not make decisions on an emotional state, on a
Exactly.
heightened emotional state.
Yeah.
Take it easy, take it in, do some research,
Yeah.
ask people, but do not believe this
Take your
scarcity
time.
tactics that, if you do not act now, it's not going to
Yes.
be here tomorrow.
They're
and this
good.
kind- yeah.
They're good because sometimes it's hard to say no, but just make sure you're prepared with, being pressured to buy something at that time. Just make sure that you're prepared to say, let me take a moment, a day or two to sleep on it and make a
Right.
decision, because it's your money.
And with fraud, investment fraud, they're always going to promise big gains, big
Oh, yeah.
returns, and then also be very careful when they ask you for advance fees. In
Exactly.
other words, even before you start
Paying
investing,
up
they
front.
already have some fee. They want some fees. So anyhow, we have come to the end of our show. We really hope that you got something that we kind of helped you to prepare your prevention strategy. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lucia Arteaga from the Attorney
Thank
General's
you.
office. You share lots of great information and tips. We will definitely do more shows on this. And when you
Great.
do finish your Facebook page, please let us know so we can
Thank
promote
you.
it.
Of course. Definitely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
And then one last time, if people want to access the website for the Attorney General, where can they go?
Yes, it's azag.gov.
Okay, again,
azag.gov.
thank you again.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining today. See you soon. Take care.
Contact-